Hello, good afternoon. My name is Juan Bautista Propato. I'm currently working for Football West in beautiful Basildon. I'm originally from Argentina. I'm a professor of physical education and I have a master degree in high performance in sports. But my life, like Allan, he's a little more experienced than me. He's about football, so I was in New Zealand for over 10 years in Germany and home country of Argentina coaching football. Allan, how are you, mate?
I'm very, very good, Juan, and it's good to see you again.
Thank you for your time, much appreciated. So, Allan, for the people, they don't know about you, they should know, especially there in New Zealand, because you are a part of the history of football in New Zealand. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Allan.
About myself, like you, came from a very, very strong footballing nation. Two very different nations, of course. I'm from England originally. Played all my football in England up until the age of 30, and I was injured. But by that stage, I'd also qualified as a coach. So there was an easy transition for me to go from playing. My last club was Bristol City, and we went from there into the coaching. I did the youth team there, moved up to the northeast of England and coached ostensibly in about 12 clubs in 6 different countries. I coached internationally for 3 countries, in England and Bermuda, and also in New Zealand. I'm a qualified coach through UEFA. I've got a UEFA A license, a UEFA coach education diploma. I've got a degree in physical education, very much similar to yourself. So the two things of teaching and the playing of the game are similar. And of course, now at this age, I coached to the age of 45. I coached for 45 years to the age of about 75. And I've been mentoring coaches ever since, and still doing it, still performing as best I can. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, awesome. Thank you. You are an inspiration for everyone coaching the beautiful game. And England and Argentina is always a funny one because people think we are different, but we are really similar nations. So many times when people think about both nations, I always say that we have a lot in common and just a few things that are not in common. And when you travel and you meet beautiful people like you and many of my English friends around the world, we could see that we are one nation, and a football nation, and it's the human beings being all together. So just want to reinforce the love and the care for all my friends and the two nations always together. And I always like when I went to Russia and with all the English supporters, you know, with my Argentinian shirt, and we swap shirts, and any other nation, football unite all the nations, and also appreciate your time for sharing today.
My pleasure.
So, starting from the beginning, how was that when you start to set up your team? For example, your first coaching position was back in England, isn't it?
Yes.
So how do you remember that you set up your team around you, and why you choose that people to be on your team?
Yeah, okay, fine. I think what you've got to realize that whilst you are the head coach and whilst you lead the band, it's very important that you have the right people around you. And I use the expression, you always go in team-handed. You don't go in alone, you go in team-handed, and you choose the team. What constitutes the selection? Well, at Auckland City very recently, and I say very recently because it was back in 2004, 5, 6, after we'd won the league for the 3rd time, the press were interviewing my captain. And unbeknown to me, the press asked him, why is it that you've won the league 3 times in a row? And he said, it's the big fella, referring to me. And he said, he doesn't just pick good players, but he looks for good blokes. He looks for good men. And in my case, it was good women as well, because my physiotherapist was a woman. So it's about getting good people, people that you can trust, people that you look at and you say, is he or she, are they football people? In other words, they're football people first, and then they branch out from there. So it's important that you bring in the right sort of people. Thirdly, I would say also, are they qualified? Now, what does that mean? Well, you can qualify in two ways. One, that you qualify formally, by which I mean you go and you do your coach education programs and you get your level 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, whatever happens to be in your country at the time, and you get to the highest level you can. But equally importantly, and this is what we're doing today, it's the informal part of coach education that is crucial. It's when you get alongside the mentors, it's when you get alongside those who've done it before you. And if you listen long enough and you listen to all the war stories, eventually the gems will start to drop. And when the gem falls, you took that into your portfolio and you put it alongside the sessions that you do. And fourthly, I would say, I need to know the people really well. What motivates them? I think I said to you on many occasions, I've never coached for money, only for the game. So it's the game that motivates me. And I want the game to motivate my staff as well. If we do well, we'll get plenty of money. If we don't do very well, well, that's just par for the course. You don't get paid very well. But the initial motivation has got to come from within. So can these people that I select in this manner, do they dovetail with me? Is the team balanced? And if the team off the park is balanced, then you're ready to start to balance the team on the park. Now, what do I mean by balance? For example, when I first started to coach, I was coaching at the age of 30, 31, 32. I was very conscious that I knew nothing. I thought I knew everything, but deep down I knew there was always huge question marks alongside what we did. Sometimes I was quite innovative, but I was never sure. And for that reason, I always made certain I'd got an older man alongside me. I wanted someone with a bit of grey hair, someone who was in their 60s, maybe 30 or 40 years of coaching themselves. So they would advise you in the best possible way. They would question you in the best possible way. And slowly but surely, as I moved towards that grey-haired period myself, I made certain I brought in young men underneath me who would do the same thing. And as they wanted to learn, so it would be that I could teach them as well as the players. So it's a dual aspect. You don't just teach the staff, but you're teaching staff and players often at the same time. And the older you get, quite often, the mentoring side of it, which is essentially what it is, the mentoring side of it becomes an imposing factor on the relationship between you and your staff. So they see you as a friend, as a colleague, and as a teacher. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it is. So, what will happen if let's say, well, sometimes the staff potentially you could change them, but players no. What will happen if one of your players or staff members don't have one or two of those qualities about trusting, maybe communication with you?
If those qualities aren't present, he doesn't get the job. There's no such thing as compromise in the game. Compromise is the second cousin of failure. And if you continue down the line of compromise, eventually you will fail. I compromised twice in my career. Once I failed, second time I didn't fail, but I didn't enjoy it because I was working too hard with the team of coaches that I really should have been putting the energies elsewhere. So at the end of the day, compromise will not succeed. And if those people you know for a long time, many, for example, at Auckland City, my number 2, he'd actually played for me in the youth team, international youth team at the age of 16. He was in his 40s by the time he came to work for me. But it was a long time that I'd known the man. And not just the man, but I'd known his family. And his family were a football family. They were steeped in the game. Yeah?
But you say about those those 2 learning experiences. What do you learn from those 2 to in the future don't make those mistakes again? I mean, we can always make mistakes because we made decisions.
Yeah, in the future, I've never made the same mistake twice, which is probably the reason I've been able to coach for 45 consecutive seasons. Because I think at the end of the day, if you are constantly making the same mistake, you will fail time and time again. So you've got to learn from the mistakes. Just as you learn from winning matches, you will also learn from losing matches.
So in a way, that was one of my questions, was about, well, I've been coaching for 21 years, but still many white hairs to come. What was the secret to be, well, in 2 years it will be 50 years, and if you're still mentoring and supporting people and develop like you're doing now, for me, you are coaching, so you will make it to 50, I'm very sure. So what is another secret, if we want to call it secret, of quality as a coach that you need to have to, sometimes, you know, they say, although it's not like that, but it's almost surviving as a coach, surviving the up and downs, like life as well, so football is life. But you say about learning from your mistakes, what would be other two that you have to have a longer career as a coach?
You need to be flexible. You need to have a flexible mind. If you think the game is about one thing, you are mistaken. It's about many things. And you must understand, as you travel through your career, that there will be certain facets of that career that become important. And you must be able to recognize the knowledge that exists within the game. It will exist within the players. It will exist within the coaches that you employ. You alone, yourself, will carry a bulk of it. But what you've got to analyze then, where does the knowledge come from? Well, and I'll take, we're speaking about me, so I'll use me. I played about just over 400 senior matches which were of some consequence, not schoolboy games where the result is about winning and losing, obviously, but the end result is about performance. But as you become a senior, and as you move towards senior football and professional football in particular, the result is crucial, because it's about the survival of you, the player, and then you, the club. So I think I played just over 400 senior games. But what did I get from that? Well, I took from that game knowledge. In other words, I understood how to play the game. Sometimes the fans didn't think I understood too much because I didn't play very well. But that's not the point. The point is, not only did I play those games, but I played also with very good players. So game knowledge came from the playing, not from watching, not from reading, not from listening. It came from playing. So therefore, in terms of the starting of the coaching career, there was a playing element. That was the base that gave me the game knowledge. Having then got on and qualified as a coach, I then went to work. And I worked in 12 clubs in 6 different countries. I coached 893 club matches. Now, what did I get from that? I got not game knowledge, but knowledge of the game. So now I was not only understanding how to play, but I was now starting to understand how to operate within the game. How do you deal with the press? How do you deal with the fans? How do you deal with the groundsman? Is the chairman of the board happy with what's going on? So you learn to deal with all the multitude of facets that make up the game of association football. And on top of that, I coached 130 international matches. 130. 68 victories, 32 draws and 30 defeats. So there was defeats in amongst the 100 results I got. So what did I get from that? Well, I got very specific knowledge. Very, very specific knowledge of the game. Not game knowledge, but knowledge of the game. Each country plays in a different way. Although we are one as a family of football, and FIFA will talk about the family of football constantly, but like you come from Argentina, I come from England, we play the same game, but there's marginal differences. There is cultural differences and so on. So you must learn that and you must understand that. Otherwise the results won't come again. So with the game knowledge and the knowledge of the game, when those two factions are practiced together over many, many years, you now start to get game wisdom. And it's that time when the wisdom comes that you are now ready to mentor. Mm-hmm. And that's a crucial part of what you and I are doing now. Hopefully when your coaches listen to us speak, they will listen about the mentoring factors that exist within the game from old coaches. Never ever ignore old coaches. Sometimes they will bore you to tears with the stories. You have to listen to all the war stories that go on and the things that happen to them. But if you listen carefully and long enough, the gem, the little pearl of wisdom will come, and that will take you on to your next step. Be patient. Don't ever underestimate the value of the mentor.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We were talking with a friend, and now with this craziness everywhere, there are people talking and workshops and seminars and other stuff. I was listening here. He's in New Zealand, and was like 2 hours talk. And I said there were two things I like about that talk. And he said, and I share mine too. And he said, oh yeah, I agree. And this one as well. So between of us, 2 hours conversation with a coach. And there were two really good things that we say, oh, maybe going to implement that one. And the other one could be a potential. And he agreed as well. So it kind of what you say in a practical way of having that to listen. And maybe, well, I don't think so I know that much, but I know a little bit. So sometimes seminars or whatever, they will be around the same line or, similar vocabulary and structure. But there were two really good points to learn. And I would like say exactly what you say is about that sharing the knowledge, talking to other coaches, talking to other people. And oh, I like that one. And then I will implement that one. Are you going to implement that one or no? Because another problem could be coaches going to workshop courses, they take notes and blah, blah, blah. They go back and they do the same as before. Nothing changed.
Yeah. Well, you see, this is where coach education, Juan, you've got to look deeper than the coaching course itself. Quite often, countries will establish a coach education program with its various stages. But then when the program has finished and you've gone through all the levels of courses, now comes the practicality of applying what you know. And how do you then go on and educate a fully qualified coach? And it can only be done informally. And this is why the mentor is crucial. And I think quite often we ignore the mentoring factor, particularly from the national sporting associations now. The national bodies should be educating the coaches how to select, what to look for in a mentor. What is it that you want to achieve? Yeah. See, quite often when we look at mentors, the young coach, he doesn't know what he's looking for. What does a mentor look like? Well, he looks usually quite old. That's the first thing. But more than that, he must be an expert. He must be an expert in the field of football and experienced. Now, without the experience, there is nothing to draw on. Yeah. In other words, he's got to be a guru. And that knowledge factor that I've just outlined to you, that is crucial. The game knowledge, the knowledge of the game, the marriage of the two that gives the wisdom. And eventually, if you can see that, if you know that, then you're halfway there. So what it becomes important, I think, is the selecting of the mentor. Yeah. Do you know what he looks like? What attracts you to him? If I said to you now, what attracts you to him? It might be the fact that just the way he stands or the way he speaks. It might be something to do with the way he coaches. It might be his one-line jokes. It could be anything that attracts you to it, but you've got to know that. And therefore, if you do know it, you will find out then how it is that he's able to help you. Yeah. How will you use it? What can the mentor do for you? Listen, these are the important issues that come about, rather. Yeah. So this mentor, he'll have travelled long journeys. This man has been on long journeys. He's had many ups and downs. He's had many failures. He's had many victories. Yeah. And never forget either that the selection is a two-way process. Quite often the coach wants to come and speak with the mentor, but is he ready? Now, the mentor selects the coach. So it's putting the two people together. This is where I think the national associations should be looking to put people together. Yeah. In other words, if I think you're a young coach and worthy of it, I will look at you. My first question, are you qualified? Many coaches, particularly at the lower levels who are working with children, are unqualified coaches. They are volunteers. They want me to tell them how to do it, which is quite nice, and it's pleasant because we can chat away over a beer or whatever. Yeah. But I cannot wave a magic wand. They have got to have some sort of base of which they are going to receive the information. Once they've got that first base, once they've got that first qualification, now the coach and I can talk the same language. Otherwise, the language I speak may be foreign to him. So it's like being a mentor in a totally different language. Yeah? And I think this is crucial. Also, does the personality clash? Does your personality and my personality link up? You are from Argentina, I'm from England, it doesn't matter. As long as we are football people and we have this desire to do things in the game, as long as we are motivated by the same things in the game, now we can work together. So I would go as far as to say this will almost supersede whether your attitude is right. Because if the personality is wrong, you'll need a different mentor to me. Yeah, and I think this is where, again, we've neglected the really important factor of giving the mentor to the coach and the coach to the mentor.
Yeah, you answered my question, because my question was I was going to ask about exactly that, is to mentor or to be mentored, or someone is going to, they come to you to mentor them, or you choose them to mentor them. So it kind of...
They must come to me. I cannot go to them. Yeah. That's very, very impertinent of me. It's rude. I'm saying, look, you're not good enough. Come and I'll help you.
No, but you could say, if they come to you and ask you for feedback about the session, you can give them feedback about the session.
Yes. But I think that they must approach me. And this is something which I don't think young coaches are ever told to do. Don't be afraid to go to the... I was very lucky in my career. I qualified as a senior coach at the age of 28 when I was still playing. So I was coaching and playing and working away at the game. But I was also mixing with people who were like 5 and 10 years older than I am. And I found that these older people, and I'm talking about great people, the late Sir Bobby Robson was one of my mentors. I worked for Bob for a short spell at Ipswich. But younger coaches like Alan Dix, who was at Bristol City. We had Don Howe, the current guru of the game. And so these men I found, Malcolm Allison, who was an extrovert in the extreme, smoked a big cigar when he talked to you. I think he even smoked a big cigar when he coached. He was an absolute but a terrific football brain, very, very innovative. Now I found all these men who were between 5 and 10 years older than myself. They would give me hours and hours of time because A, I asked them, and B, they thought that I was enthusiastic and wanted to learn, and therefore they were prepared to help. Yeah. And because of that background, I've gone exactly the same way through my career. If someone approaches me, if I can help him, I will. If I can guide him, I will.
Yeah, it's about that attitude, no, and about that energy and the commitment from yourself to become better as a player and as a coach later when you are older. We were talking with different friends over the last 2-3 weeks about this, and everyone said that one of the qualities as a coach to survive and to become better is that self-motivation to become better and to learn. You need to be hungry for learning. And then also we say something in Argentina when you win a game and it's a 1-0 last minute, that you put your working clothes to win that game. Because that's what they used to do in the family. You used to put the overall like a white thingy and work for that. So you have to work to become better. Without that commitment and the hours of coaching, like you were saying, all the games you coach and international clubs, 6 different countries, boy, you got the knowledge and the wisdom of the game because you did all of that. And sometimes the young people, they want to be here when they are just here. And it's kind of like, well, I know you want to be here, me too, but it's still a long way to go. So you still need to go through the steps, isn't it?
There's no easy road. There's no easy road to success. If you don't work, you will not be successful. I don't know a coach anywhere in the world, very successful coaches, who have not worked hard, who have not worked long, and who don't listen. This is the other thing I would say as well. You've got to be a good listener. I will talk from now till about next Tuesday without even taking a breath. No problem. But the thing that I am very good at, I will listen to you. I will listen to what you ask, and I will listen to what you say. And I think this is crucial. And this is what I was the points I was trying to get across early on when I said we undervalue the aspect of informal coach education. The conferences and the forums and the workshops, these are crucial because these are the real developments. And also, they will delve into the real soul of coaching. They go beyond the coaching course, which is highly structured, because they are bringing in the experiences and the values of the people whom you're coming together with. And I think that's a crucial part of that. For example, in a conference, you are able to meet people that sometimes you won't ever see on the television, and you'll rub shoulders with top people, and you'll draw from them. You'll draw the energy from them. Because the one thing I know, although I'm very old and my knees are rickety, my ankles are very bad, I still have terrific energy from inside. The internal focus of the attention is coming from within. And I think that's crucial. So you identify this with top people. It allows you, and the information that you get also, yeah, it quite often it's being disseminated in a very relaxed manner, to the extent sometimes in the bar after it's all finished over a beer, it is extremely relaxed. And also it's the sort of stuff that you get. It's not written down in coaching manuals. It's not written down in books. Some of it can never be written, otherwise there are stories in the game that stay in the game. They are the folklore of the game. And that folklore can only be ever passed mouth to mouth. Yeah, you can't write it down. It's got to be passed mouth to mouth. And the lovely thing about the conference and the workshop is that the learner is learning without any pressure. He's not going to be examined. After this session, I will not ask you any questions about it. Yeah, you can just listen and allow it to wash over you. Yeah, it's in a social, non-examined background. Yeah.
But, and also, I mean, I'm always, I don't know to say force myself, but sometimes what's happened when you go to a workshop is that you attend, but you're not really learning anything. So many times, exactly what you say, when the course finish and people are rushing and it's almost, oh, I did this workshop, I did listen to this guy, oh, I did this. Okay, yes, you did. Did you learn anything from it? Because a really good point is about that one, and many times happen, you see the course, 100 people, the course finish, and there are only maybe 8, 10 people talking to each other. And exactly what I was saying about my friend, we were talking about those 1 or 2 nuggets from that course, and then maybe the other courses are coming, they listen, and then it's kind of learning happening when the course finish and they develop what they listen, and everyone is, oh yeah, I will do it like this. And they go, oh yeah, I will do it like this. And Alan comes in, oh yeah, I will do that, and this. And then that, oh yes, you know, and it's kind of like, sometimes you need that kind of discussions in small groups to get information through and then try to think, I'm going to implement it like that. That's why many times I go to courses and I go with my little notebook, a little one, a small one. And this happened to me. Oh, don't worry, don't take notes. We're going to send everything by email. It's on YouTube and here and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no. I learn by writing on my notes. And also what I do is I have here the little monkeys, like someone would say, and put it here, like that, and I can do this and this and this. And I have little notes everywhere. And that's the way I learn. And then sometimes they look at me like, oh, yeah, okay, you know, like, and I say, well, I learned like that, you know, sorry, I learned like that. So it's kind of identify yourself, also the way you learn, what you need to do to reinforce that learning, take it in, and can you put something into practice?
And the other good thing about what you've just described, Juan, is that when you make a note, it is relevant to what you have already done. In other words, you will add that to your existing knowledge base, which is why in a mentoring situation, I always say, unless you are qualified, unless you are doing your qualifications, no, I don't want to mentor you yet. Only when you've got something to add to, and when you can come back to me to question correctly, that's the time when I will give you my time. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting your time. It's fruitless. Yeah, that magic wand doesn't exist. Only when we are both qualified, and therefore we can compare. Maybe my comparisons will be greater because I'm that much older. In another 20 years, you will be sitting here doing exactly the same thing to another young man on the other end of the Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is true. So, I mean, I could be talking for ages with you, but to be honest, I think this first part been awesome. I'm very sure people will enjoy this. Anything else you want to share about so the mentoring side, choosing your team, anything, any experience that you want to share that you were successful or not successful, and then you change and then learn from that?
I think coaching and your coaching career evolves. It is not something that is going to happen you don't know. It happens. And you must be flexible, mentally flexible, to adjust with the occasion. Sometimes you will be coaching children. Sometimes you'll be coaching men. Sometimes you're coaching in the club situation. Sometimes in the representative field. Sometimes in the international field. And you must be able to adapt to each of those occasions. Because depending on who you coach will depend on how you coach. In other words, if you say to me, will you coach passing? I'll say, yes, of course. But who to? So if you're talking about an 8 and a 9 and a 10-year-old, my expectations and my approach will be different to that if I'm taking a 35-year-old international footballer on the last year of his career. Yeah? And I think you must allow this to evolve. You must allow this to expand. Don't try and force the issue. Just let the game wash over you, and you will be fine.
Thank you, Allan. Thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated. A really true legend of football, not just in New Zealand, in 6 other countries. I'm very sure people remind you with a smile, a great man, and also a winning person on the field, off the field as well.
Thank you very much indeed, Juan. Thank you.
Thank you, Allan. Take care, my friend.
Okay.